Hey, yo, FroWrestling Podcast listeners, help us out and click subscribe to show your support. And while you're at it, if you're sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video game every year, stop immediately and go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create your own wrestlers, sign contracts, get involved in storylines, headline pay-per-views, even build your own corporation, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users for free. If you want to become a member of the FroWrestling Podcast family, and you want your name in the shoutouts like our buddy Harold in St. Louis, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/FroWrestlingPodcast and sign up today for the month of November. Any $25 contributor will co-host an episode of Going Live with me. And for our $10 a month contributors, you'll be entered into a drawing for one winner to also co-host a Going Live episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the FroWrestling Podcast from the Quakertown Farmers Market. We are here for one of the shows by the Worldwide Wrestling Alliance. Great shows put on here in Quakertown and at Zern's Farmers Market out in Gilbertsville, the second and fourth Saturdays of every month. If you are in the local area, you should always check these things out twice a month. They are a great show for a great price. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, cast your vote for the greatest female wrestler of all time tournament. We are currently in our Sweet 16 round. That voting closes tonight. We will launch the Elite 8 starting on Monday. And you guys are doing a great job. You got some great matches that are set up for the next round of the tournament. So make sure you do that. You can do that at FroWrestling.com, clicking on the Vote tab. And while you're on FroWrestling.com, the homepage of the Fro Wrestling Podcast, check out the Fro Shop. All the apparel and wearables for the Fro Wrestling Podcast that you could possibly imagine are on the Fro Shop. Click on that today and snag something to show your support for the Fro Wrestling Podcast. We're going to get started with some of the news for the day. It has been a few days since we put an episode up. I apologize. The holiday season is fast at hand. Hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving and they did all the shopping they needed to do on Black Friday. But if you have not done those things, don't wait. Cyber Monday's around the corner. But in the meantime, the wrestling world has not stood still waiting for us. Survivor Series was actually a relatively decent show. I got to give WWE booking credit. They did a good job. They got some great matches out of people that they probably didn't anticipate getting such quality matches out of. The match with Brock-Lesnar and AJ Styles was easily the best match on the card. I think they rushed the 5-on-5 Survivor Series match. I think that could have gone quite a bit differently. I feel like they totally wasted the appearance of John Cena and the one of Kurt Angle in a lot of ways. I know they set up some great things going forward. Obviously, we'll get to see Braun Strowman against Triple H at some point, and I'm a huge fan of that idea. But there's a lot more that could have been done on that show, and they really dropped the ball, in my opinion, on how they booked that. Former WWE champion Batista was in the news this week, talking several items. One, wanting to leave the country if Donald Trump is reelected president. More importantly, talking about how he has had conversations with Vince McMahon about a return to the company, provided he gets to work on a program with Triple H. That's what he wants. There's no other program that he wants to work, but he doesn't want to come back and do a one-off. He wants to do an actual return, including house shows and television events and, a main pay-per-view type style match. So there are things there for him to come back to the company if he chooses to take that path. And I think it may be a matter of not if, but when these things happen. He never really got a great send-off from the pro wrestling business. I think it'd only be fair and would be a nice thing to do to give him that opportunity at some point to face Hunter and really close out his career the way he really wanted to. Speaking of more WWE news, Paul Heyman has been all about praising AJ Styles. Since the match with Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series, Paul Heyman was instrumental in getting that match off the ground. That was not the original plan. As most of you know, Jinder Mahal was supposed to be the slot against Brock Lesnar. But when Paul Heyman advocated so much for that match, Vince McMahon, to his credit, and the creative team, they took Paul Heyman's word and they came out with a phenomenal match by Brock Lesnar, probably the best match he's had since he's been back in WWE. And that's a testament to Paul Heyman seeing the value in that style of match. It's something I really wish they listen to people with his creative mind a little more. I think he'd be better off being the head of the booking committee. He really would. We'll have to see how that plays out in the next couple of months, but people are already smart to the fact that they want Brock Lesnar to drop the belt to Roman Reigns and everything else. I would love for Paul Heyman's input on what they really should do, because I don't think that's what the fans want to see. I think that's a miss. I think that's a waste of a main event at WrestleMania. They could do so many other things. We'll have to see if they allow Paul Heyman and other really intelligent talents who have a sense for the booking to see if they give them more creativity in the product. One of the challenges right now is trying to figure out how to book Triple H for WrestleMania. Triple H right now slated for a match against Kurt Angle, but with the reaction the fans got with the Braun Strowman incident at Survivor Series, you gotta wonder if they're gonna rethink their strategy there. The rumor is you may see Triple H versus Kurt Angle moved up to the Royal Rumble instead, and then the match with Braun Strowman at WrestleMania. I'll be curious to see if that's the decision they make. Either way, I think, obviously they're both premium quality matches, but then what do you do with the Rock situation? Do we postpone another year before we see Triple H and the Rock get in the ring? Or is that something that we push off to maybe till SummerSlam and see the Rock versus Triple H there? I don't know that the Rock would want to come back for a secondary or pay-per-view. WrestleMania is the big show. That may be the only one he'd be interested in coming in for, and it doesn't sound like he's in the plans for either one of those shows right now. So going to have to wait and see how they book Triple H going forward. Hopefully they find a way to get that Rock match done. The Kurt Angle match will be awesome, and I'm really looking forward to the Braun Strowman match. That should be phenomenal. This week, big thing, I want to get this out there. We've got to send some prayers out there for Kamala. Kamala went into the hospital this week. For those who don't know, in recent years, he's had a lot of diabetes and blood pressure-related issues. He is in the hospital. He's a double amputee, lost both of his legs below the knee. He had some really bad situation happening this week where he's been in the hospital on life support in a medically induced coma. But he is now out of the coma and doing much better. So prayers to Kamala and his family, and well wishes for him to get back real soon. He's been doing a lot of meet and greets and signing opportunities. It'd be really great for him to be able to see the support from his fans at his next appearance when he gets back together and gets himself good to go. Rumor has it that Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles Part 2 may be a thing of the future. It sounds like AJ Styles is all for it. That's what he said. He said, bring it on. He wants another match with Brock Lesnar. Thought that he had a fantastic match with him, and that what they really need to see is more of him in a match with Brock Lesnar, that they had so much more they could do in the ring. I, for one, would be hugely in favor of that. I think that would be a great, great match once again. So, hopefully we'll get to see that. And before Brock leaves, we all know his contract is up in August. I'm still hoping he re-ups his contract. A lot of the issues with UFC right now, I don't know if that's where he really wants to be. But I'm hoping that they can find a way to get some of these marquee dream matches out of the way before he leaves, including a rematch with AJ Styles. Will we see War Games again? It sounds like Triple H is very much in favor of the idea of bringing War Games back for another showing for the NXT talent. I thought this first one, I know a lot of people love the match, and I don't know if that's nostalgia or what that is. I didn't find the match to be overly fascinating from a War Game standpoint. Yes, it was a great match, and I enjoyed the match, thoroughly enjoyed the action, some of the high spots. Seeing 9 guys do one giant move where everybody's getting slammed is pretty cool, but at the same time, there's so much more you could do from a War Games perspective. There was no lid on the cage, which didn't seem like it was a big issue to some people, but for me, I used to love when you'd see a good guy jack up a heel and slam his head up into the top of the cage. They had a piece of sheet metal down between the rings. I will never forget seeing Barry Windham in Philadelphia when he was with the Horsemen, getting his head stuck between the 2 rings, standing on his shoulders and kicking his feet like crazy. And that kind of stuff is awesome. Those are spots you couldn't do in this particular presentation of War Games. So, sounds like we'll get War Games again, only on special occasions, but it's definitely something that it sounds like Triple H is very much in favor of bringing back again. Also on the rumor front, the push of Jason Jordan. It sounds like the WWE creative may be holding down the push of Jason Jordan for the immediate future and bring that back at a later time. Right now, it does not seem like he is as over as they want him to be in a marquee feud. They've teased him turning heel. They've teased him doing a variety of things, And at this point, it looks like Jason Jordan's push, initially they were talking about an Intercontinental title run. Looks like that's not going to happen. I can't envision them putting him over Roman Reigns ahead of WrestleMania when Reigns is supposed to win the World Championship. Obviously, somebody's going to have to go over Reigns. I would have no problem with it being Jason Jordan. I think Jason Jordan's one of the best technical wrestlers they've got right now, to be perfectly honest with you, even though he's young. So I would love to see his push continue, but it sounds like the rumor is that is going to come to an end. Also, I hope everybody was thrilled to see Paige back on Raw, bringing her NXT call-up women with her, as well as the NXT call-ups on SmackDown. Now, there's a lot of speculation that that's happening because they want to have a Women's Royal Rumble. That is not in the cards right now. I know it looks that way, but that apparently is not the plan at the moment. Doesn't mean that things can't change. I think that would be a great idea. There are currently 20 superstars on the roster that are female, and they could easily bring in other NXT talents and bring back some people from the past to get it to 30. And really, that pay-per-view could be focused around the 2 Royal Rumbles and maybe the 2 men's or the 2 women's or all 4 world championships, and that could be your card. And I'd be okay with that. I think that's something the WWE Universe would love to see. We'll have to hold our breath and see if that happens. Don't forget to call into the Fro Wrestling Sound-Off line at 267-642-1160. Give us your questions, your comments, your concerns, anything you want us to talk about in our episodes. We love to get your questions on our shows as often as possible. While you're at it, don't forget, if you want to become a member of the Fro Wrestling Podcast family, go to patreon.com/FroWrestlingPodcast and sign up to become a Patreon member today. We would love to have you as part of the group. You get early access to all of our voting in our tournaments and potentially on future episodes that are pre-records and our interviews. So by all means, check that out. If you want to become a Patreon member, patreon.com/FroWrestlingPodcast. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode where we run down all the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks as always go out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all of our music and sound effects used throughout today's show. Today's podcast was sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this new game from Beazle Games by going to www.frowrestling.com and clicking the icon in the middle of the screen. And to AlleyRepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. If you're looking for your next career move and are considering college, university life, or you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro, and I want to thank every one of you for taking a few moments with us today. And if you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, go to www.sportsjunkies101.com for my latest articles on the world of professional wrestling. Until next time, take care and have a great night.